It's another exciting episode in the Build Our Story podcast. My name is Ekom Akpabio Joseph. In case you're just joining us for the first time, the Build Our Story podcast is a platform that shares inspiring stories of successful change makers, great African leaders who have built companies, institutions, raised men, and are doing great in the society, in their field in Africa. And today we have one of such guests in the house. He's a great kingmaker. We call him Mr. Cash. All right. Do follow us on all social media platforms at Sabi Writers Studios and on YouTube at Sabi Writers TV. All right. Do not go anywhere. When we come back, the conversation will start proper. Stay with us.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yetunde Adeyemi, and I'm the Managing Director of Active Foods Limited. Please keep watching The Builder Story on Sabi Writers TV. Thank you.
Welcome back. It's to the Build a Story podcast. Today we have a great African leader in the house. He has done tremendous things. He has, done tremendous strides. He is the oracle of rental income properties and is a world-class cash flow entrepreneur. He's a co-founder of Wealth Island Properties Africa and is right here in the studio with us, Mr. Tade Cash. It's such an honor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So I read your story and it's a peculiar one, but I do not think I know it in details because I know you just give out what you want us to hear, right? But then your story of how you grew up together in one room with your parents and your siblings. You never got that right.
Yeah.
Then you were selling bread. And now I'm just supposing that with you right now.
Yeah.
Progress. So kindly let us know how that episode of your life was, because not a lot of people know that you had gone through that.
Wow. Thank you. Firstly, I'm honored to be here. The atmosphere is heavenly. It's so beautiful and
Thank
lovely.
you.
All right. So my story is very interesting and very fascinating to me as well. Because when you go back to the origin story, you just suddenly realize that my parents are very interesting human beings, that met each other and they decided to fall in love and they started having kids, and they had me by chance because I'm the youngest. And my father never planned. He has stopped by having 5 children. So suddenly in the course of having good time, husband and wife, my mother conceived again, and my father frowned against it. Like, no, I don't want this baby. And then my mother said, no, we have to have this baby. So 9 months into that space, just my father to show his displeasure. I knew that it was sincere, but maybe that moment it was just sincerely wrong, and very good man, I must say. But at the end of the day, my mother was in labor. My father left the house, because he has made up his mind that I'm not going to have this baby. So I don't want to have anything to do with this baby. So my mother took delivery of me by herself in the room, because she happened to be a nurse. So she took delivery of me, and so she has all manner of complications, just trying to have me. And as a result of that, I had chicken pox in my body as a baby. Everybody, according to the story my mom told me, everybody ran away from me. She had to wrap me up like someone at the manger just to move me to the hospitals and all of that, And so I grew up with that. Mindset, living in that one-room apartment. I fought with my inner beliefs for so many years. Hearing that story, it was really, really difficult for me, and it was, and then that's how I grew up, youngest of 6, and in one room. We moved from one room to another room. It's still one room, and the story was just like that. So growing up, I knew there was so much inside of me, but and that's when I realized that poverty is an affliction. Everyone should hate it, because I was fighting internal battle. I knew what to say, but I won't be able to say it. Why? Because I just feel I'm not worthy of it, because of how I was raised. I never get exposed to anything worthwhile, And then growing up, that made me, in a reverse psychology, I began to be a very stubborn boy, very, very stubborn, because I was just rebelling, because I felt like, okay, if they don't care for me, so let me care for myself in a wrong way now, So that was how it all started. And then my mom tried to do what she can do, and then we start selling bread to be able to do stuff. And when I look back in retrospect about those selling bread, so today I call myself SOBs, the son of bread seller. The point that those moments were good for me in retrospect, because that's how I developed what I call street OT. I became I knew how to navigate my ways, around the word of Caesar. I just knew what to do just to find my way, And so I started selling bread. My siblings, especially my immediate sister, she doesn't like that life at all. Like, oh, why are we going to sell bread on Christmas Day? You are going to sell bread, I grew up never knowing what Christmas looked like because we don't even have food to eat on Christmas, So, and I grew up ever having for my first 18 years of my life, I only had one Christmas clothes, So, and it was a very cherished one that I have to keep for almost 6 years, and that was a journey. That was how I grew up. And living in one room apartment, the environment was not encouraging. You never saw any family member that drove a car before. You never heard of anyone in the family that has succeeded in a way that would have been an inspiration to you. But in the mix of all of those seemingly disadvantages, I started learning as a young boy. And I say that in all of these things, the only gift that my father gave to me that I will forever, be grateful for is that he exposed me to books as a young boy, and he kept saying to me that I have to read, Now, he was talking about reading from the point of academics, but after a while I flip it. And I knew that what he was really saying to me was education, that I should educate my mind. And I tell you, that was what helped me to escape from the shackles of my biology, because my biology was bound to keep me down. But when I started reading as a young guy of 14, and I started seeing, I remember the first book I ever get exposed to was Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale, and I started reading that book, and I started seeing stories of people that their life was seemingly very difficult and more terrible than mine. And I saw how they escape it. Then I started fantasizing as a young boy. Like, wow, I see in that one room, I was still looking at it and saying, man, I'm going to make it. And at the point, my passion became to make money legally, morally. So one of my friends are talking about, they want to have talent. I said, boy, I don't have talent, man. My talent is to make money. I don't care what you guys call your talent, but so everybody is looking for purpose. I tell them, guy, my purpose is to make money. You see, all these things you guys are just talking about, I don't understand. But if there is any purpose in this life, to do it legally, credibly, morally, I want to do that. So all my challenges as a young boy, all my troubles, and I started learning. I started learning how to do so many things as a young boy. Grew up in one room. I mean, the first time I heard in the public poor school that I was attending that a friend of mine said in our classroom and said he has a room to himself, I felt like he's an alien, and then I have to follow him to his house. I'm serious. I was like 15. I wanted to find out, are you serious? You have a room to yourself? Show me the room, my friend. And and he showed me the room, and I stood for a moment, like almost 5 minutes. I was gazed. I was looking at, because when you think about it, that room that he showed me was bigger than all the rooms we were living in.
Oh dear.
So that for me was like, really? One, you have this room, and we are 6. My father, my mom, and my cousin that my father brought from the village, sitting in the same room with him. My father was a generous man. He went to the village, he saw my cousin roaming the streets in the village. He said, wow, yeah, but what are you doing here? Come on, follow me to Lagos. Oh my goodness. So as a young age, I began to develop spiritual intelligence by necessity, because I spend my night praying because there's nowhere to sleep. So I will walk around the street, I will walk around the compound praying, gazing at the sky, seeing an airplane going, and I'm saying, one day, this plane, I'm going to be inside you and I'm going to travel the world. Today, I can do that by the grace of God. And the truth is, those moments were moments for me, were just like my incubating room. I never knew it at that time, but in the midst of all of those things, my exposure into reading at my tender age was my escaping route, because then I started reading, I started seeing stories, I started, getting engaged in this conversation. I started having internal conversation. Let me tell you one thing that I used to do, that in Africa, as a young boy, they would think I have an Ogbanji or something. As a very young boy, I would take to two stick of matches and I would put it together and I would start telling stories with them, as a 14-year-old boy. As a 10-year-old boy, I would take one. My one will represent me and one is going to represent someone else. And I would think in the passage of the house in afternoon and sometimes in the middle of the night, and I'll start telling stories. So you're going to go to America, okay? And people will pass by and say, this boy is a guest spiritual program. But I was fantasizing. I was thinking of so many things in my head. Like I was just creating my own world. Until today, I tell people that I can stay in a very big, mansion by myself for weeks, without feeling bored, without being depressed. Sometimes my family is traveling and I'm at home. And they'll one day, you didn't go out today. No, I'm okay with myself.
With yourself.
I mean, I'm very okay with myself. I can be in the house. There are times I was at home and I did not on my TV for almost 1 month. And people are wondering, someone came out and said, Tade, you don't on this TV. I'll say, he's there. Do you want to watch something?
I can relate to
but
that.
I can't just feel like doing that. So for me, that was the beginning of my life. The story, the challenges were so enormous, but looking at it in retrospect, I never consider it a disadvantage right now. At that time, it looked like it, but it gave me this strong internal intensity and the hunger to want something better. And I would say that my escape route was I found how to read. I started learning, I started reading, I started exposing my mind and finding. I never knew there was anything called mentoring, at that young age. But the only space for me was I started learning, I started reading, and it was helping me.
You have said a lot of things I would like to point out.
Yeah, please.
And one of the things you said that you read books.
Yeah.
And now I would say that the typical, or let me speak for myself, right? Other people that can think this way. That self-help books don't really work. Someone goes and says you want to motivate yourself, you go into a bookstore, you just get a motivational book. Does it really help? So here you are saying that you spent your time reading and it really helped you in the way you think. So what would you say to people that think that way?
Just listen to you right now. Just brought me back to a memory lane. When I was growing up as a 15-year-old boy, I remember a couple of my friends, especially my female friends, they would look at me and see me with a couple of books all the time. And they would say things like, Tade, if you don't succeed there, all of us go fight you for this for this life. If you don't make it, with all this book you're always carrying around, But I discovered that it was really my escaping route at that time. Yeah. And I was not reading because I love reading books. I saw it as a necessity. I'm a kind of a guy that I don't believe in theory, and I believe in when I read a thing, and that's why I'm very mindful of what I read at that time. Because when I read a thing, I want to experiment it. I'm not the kind of person that you would tell me, So at one time I read a book at the age of 16. It said how to make money without money. And then when I read the book at the age of 16, I put the book on one side. I said, I have to test this thing now. And for almost 30 days, I was trying to create a checklist with the book and trying to practice. Guess what? I made almost $1 million without money in my hand. I was just following what the book said. And so when people tell me that things don't work, I don't disagree with them, because the truth is knowledge does not change people. What changes people is application of the knowledge. So the only thing that knowledge does to you is I puff you up and you think you know it, because the purpose of learning is not learning. The purpose of learning is mastery. And a lot of people never know that mastery requires application. So there are people that they don't apply what they read. So for me, it wasn't about reading, because I have a scholar. My father is a scholar. And the truth of the matter is, if I look at how my father was and all that my father knew, and my father could not say that he had this amount of money or asset. The point is, my father knew things that he was not practicing. So I could as well fall into that same, that same space. And that's where a lot of people are. A lot of people just judge what they don't understand. They say, no, this motivation. So the truth is, are they books that are just there? Yes. But are they books that can change your life years? So for me, I was looking for a better example. And I could not find it around me. And the only way at that time that I could find it, let me tell you, at that time, I would go to a bookstore. I don't have money. I would go to a bookstore and I would hang around the bookstore, picking the book as if I want to acquire it, and I'm just reading it. All right? Because I'm just looking for something that can help me. And then I would get home, I would leave the bookstore, and I would be having conversation in my
In your
head with
head,
what I
yeah.
read. I'm like, okay, this man said this, if I could just do this now. And then I'll call a few of my friends and say, I read something a few days ago in a book. I think, guy, we can succeed. If we can just do this. Some of them at that time, all the friends that believed me at that time, all of them are doing so well right now. Because the truth is, you must always find a way out. And this is what I say. What you see determine what you seize. So if you can't see it, you can't seize it. So the most problem of a lot of people is not lack of potential, it's lack of sight. They have not seen enough to be able to desire to seize it. And exposure creates desire. Now, a lot of people don't desire more because they are not exposed to that kind of atmosphere.
Yeah.
Now, you can, for instance, you're in this Sabi studio right now. You just want to love beauty because everything around there. If you get exposed to this place again and again, your natural tendencies begin to change. You begin to find order, and that's what I tell people. Just expose yourself. Now, if you can't expose yourself physically, expose yourself mentally. And that is my beginning of transformation. Because if you travel within, you cannot stand still without. That's it.
Wow. This is so breathtaking and so profound.
Thank you.
You also said that while you were trying to grasp as much knowledge as you can, while you were implementing it, you were trying to make money legally.
Yeah.
And I took note of that because when you're growing up in such situations, and there's a tendency for you to roll with the wrong crowd. You can be, if you don't have something called contentment, you can be, you can be lured into the wrong, mixed up the wrong people. But the fact that you still wanted to do things legally and morally, were there times where you were tempted to do things illegally?
That's a very hard question though, but I would tell you that because I wanted to make money as a very, very young boy, I went into gambling at the age of 13, 14. I was literally doing street gambling, I was doing all sort of things, but because the way I was raised, we were not raised to be kids. We were raised to be an adult and to be a responsible adult. The only time my parents followed me to school is the first time I went to school, and that was the last time. All right. So the point is, my parents never follow you anywhere. They will only give you a one last sermon, and that sermon could be your life sentence. They will tell you whatever you become after today is your choice. Okay. If you want to end your life as a warning, end it. They will send you to juvenile homes. If you whatever it is, and they put you in prison, that's the end. You are dead. That you are gone. You see, they will tell you the way it is. My father will tell you the way it is. And so, as you are going, when everybody is misbehaving, you are giving yourself some sense. You say, guy, someone can come and rescue this guy. But not me. Nobody will rescue me. If I misbehave, I'm dead. So, and that is it. And I never saw my father, even in the midst of all the financial challenges we had, I never saw my father trying to behave out of the contents of morality, So I never grew up in an environment where, even when things are hard, you're not thinking you can do what is bad. Because this is it. I grew up learning that you do what you are, not what it is. In other words, that means that it's who you are that you will display. So no matter what it is, you cannot take, out of me what is not in me. So I grew up, at 13, I fell into gambling. I did a couple of gambling, and I was doing it so well. I was a star of the area. I was like the Las Vegas of the environment.
You're Mr. Cash.
Yeah, people were literally betting on me. That's how fun it was when I was growing up. So I played table tennis a lot professionally, and people do all manner of sport on me, and then they would say, "Tade, come and play table tennis on my behalf. Let me put money on you." So I was literally doing that everywhere. So my father, they knew me everywhere, and I'm a guy of a small stature, so everybody seems to know me. My name was so tall than my stature, so that when some people, when they said their eyes on me the first time, they're wondering, is it the one? Why is your name so high and you're so small? I said, guy, that's just the way it is. So I grew up that way. But after a while, I had an encounter that changed my life. I think I was 14. For spiritually inclined, I was just seated in my room one day, and in one room apartment, like I said, so I just felt this breeze that just blew by me, and I heard a voice in the midst of the breeze. Nobody ever told me anything. I just heard a voice and said to me, don't you think it's high time you give your life to Jesus now? Nobody,
just like that.
And nobody told me anything. I was just here sitting down, and I was like, And then when I heard the voice, like I submit to it. Because I could not just do any other thing after I heard the voice. So the next day, my father saw me praying. And he felt they called my mother. And I heard them. I was still praying when my father called my mother and said, is it the new mischievous acts that your son is not carrying out? To be spending time to pray? Is that his new strategy? And they saw me pray the first time. The next day, my father saw me again. Third day, I walk up to my mom and I said, Mom, I'm just sorry. All the bad things I've ever done to you or to anybody in this. And my mom was looking at me like, what's wrong with this guy?
They could not believe it.
They could not believe it. And then they would get back, my father would get back from work. He would see me sitting in one place after school. I'm reading my book, And after about 1 month, like this boy is changing, And that was the beginning for me. And that was, a journey that then led me into better things and all of that. So some guys will start calling me again, Tade, want to do this sport thing. I say, guy, I can still play the table tennis, but I'm not sure I want to do the gambling thing. All right. So they felt, no, you will soon come and join us. Okay, that it's not Tade, because I was so popular, growing up, both in secondary school and everywhere, I was extremely popular. I mean, I don't know why. I was just extremely popular. I play football. I do all of those things. So that's how it began for me. But in all of this, like you asked me, I want to make money. And I said to people, I'm not apologetic about telling you I want to make a lot of money. But this is one thing I will never do. If it's going to hurt my neighbor, if it's going to hurt my friend, if it's going to make somebody's life to become lesser than they were, I'm not going to do it. That is a non-negotiable value for me. That's the way I was raised. It has nothing to do with just my any religiosity or something. I just believe that no. The best thing I can do, and the way I was raised, it is easier to make money than to steal it. So because a lot of things are involved in stealing money.
You have to plan.
You have to plan. You have to be every time someone is smiling, like this, my brother in the studio now is smiling, I would start thinking, maybe it's because of me. He has discovered something. I'm just thinking, like, why is this smiling like that? Yeah. Is this something she now knew that I've not figured out? Maybe she has figured out that this, so I don't have that luxury of time where, just like I tell people, what someone cannot see cannot be on my phone. All right, because I don't have time to now what I should be using to hide. I don't think I have time to be hiding something. So I want to live my life free all the time. So as a result of that, there are some certain things I did not involve myself in, and I believe that. And then I started learning how to make money. So basically, that was it for me, because I believe that money making is like riding a bicycle. It's a skill. It can be learned.
I have seen so much of the values that you have implemented in Wealth Island Properties.
Great.
And one of the core values of WIP Africa is integrity.
Awesome.
And I've seen it.
Thank you.
So let's move from your teenage years to your late 20s. Is it true that you made your first million when you were 28?
Yes, I made my first million before I was 28 years old.
How was that for you?
It was a life-changing experience for me, I must tell you. It was life-changing experience because I was sick and tired of being broke, and at the age of 25, I was very intelligent, but I was not acting so, so I speak so intelligently, but my account is not showing it. And at the point, I was sick and tired of it. I'm serious. And that's what I tell people. When I look at my turning point, that's really what happened to me. I just sick and tired of being broke.
So it's possible that you can be sick and tired of a situation and things just begin to align.
Yeah, because, the universe responds to hunger. And so when you are hungry for something, there is a fabrics of the universe, the rhythm of the universe respond to your mood, because the mood of mind determines the character and the quality of a person. So I was sick and tired of just remaining where I was. I was sick and tired of consoling myself in mediocrity and average life, because smallness sucks. And so that's what happened to me. And then at the point, I told myself, I'm going to do anything legally, morally, credibly to make big money. That is what happened to me. And so I didn't know at that time what I'm going to do. That's how funny it was. So because some people will say, I didn't figure anything out. That's the honest truth. I didn't sit down and say, so because a lot of people will just think maybe someone just figured out. Some people could say they figured. No, I was not like that kind of people. I'm grateful for them, but that's not me. I just said to myself, I want to be successful. And then what happened? I started looking for what will help me to do that.
So I would like to know, because I'm very curious.
Okay.
What did you do that made you, become that person?
Yeah. So what I did is, Now, remember, I had knowledge, you know, and what I did at that moment is to move my knowledge to understanding, which is the, what I call the assimilation of the knowledge that I've accumulated. And then I assimilated it, but at the same time, I've not started applying it. So I was just there. So at that moment in my life, I look at everything around me. I would go to some meetings or I'm talking to someone and the person is talking. I'm like, I knew what this person is saying. Some people in the meeting will be like, wow, they're excited. Wow, this knowledge is deep. And at a point, you look as if I was arrogant because the truth is the knowledge was not deep to me. I knew what the person is saying. There's nothing strange. You know, my first year in university, I have to stop because what the lecturer was saying is not making sense. And I was teaching the people of 300 level to pass the exam. So I felt like it's a waste of money because why will I be doing this one and all of that? But I have to change school because at the end of the day, that's what happened to me. So I came to the knowledge of truth, whereby I realized that before truth will set you free, will first piss you off. I have to be pissed off with the truth that I know that I was not applying. So I came to myself and I asked myself all night, my sister, all night. I was awake all night and I asked myself, Tade, can you tell yourself the truth? Why are you broke? And I'm telling you, that's what happened to me. I told myself the truth. You know, sometimes your best coach is not someone else, it's yourself.
Yeah.
You can be your best coach to yourself. Why? Yeah. Because you know yourself. Except you want to lie, you want to deny yourself.
Nobody can tell you the truth.
Exactly. Thank you. That means I told myself, why am I broke? And I discovered what it is. That you're not applying what you know. It was deep for me that day. You're not truly applying what you know. You know it and you're excited by it, but you're not applying it. And that day I repented because repentance means radical change of attitude. So I repented and I said, going forward, I'm going to apply what I know. And next day I step out of the house. I told my friends publicly, guy, I want to make big money now. But I don't still know what I'm going to do to make this big money. But I'm ready now. And one day I was in a bookstore about to buy a book. And then I did not see the book I wanted to buy. And the guy walked into the studio and to the bookstore rather, and he said he wanted to buy a book. And I was just telling him, what do you want to use the book for? The guy was telling me, and I said, buy this book, buy this book, buy this book. And that day, the book owner made about 50-something thousand from that. And the guy was so fascinated about me that we exchanged contact. About a week later, the guy called me and he said, Tade, I think I would like to have a conversation with you. And I said, what? He said, I'm about starting a business. I want to start a real estate business, and I think we can just start a business together. I think you will be good in marketing. And I said, okay, why not? And the guy, we started the business. And then when we started the business, come on, we moved. And I was in marketing, I was selling. I was 26 at that time. So we started. I was so excited about the idea, not necessarily just, I think I have something like I give an expression to. And I feel this thing can make me money. And in the space of 1 year, I was able to sell about 700 plots of land. And that's how I made my first $1 million. And so within that period of time, everything in my life changed because I began to apply myself. I'm awake by 4 a.m. I'm excited because I feel I have found it. But remember, the first thing that started it was not a direction, because a lot of people have problem in life. They're waiting for direction, but direction does not come before decision. You make decision and direction follow decision. So many people are waiting for direction. No, you don't wait for a direction. You make decisions. And because inherent in decision is direction. The moment you are clear about your decision, you begin to be led. And then you find out that, at the end of the day, the trajectory of your life is moving in the direction of what you have decided. And then you look up and say, okay, I decided to make it. Some people decided to live an average life and everything around them, the advice, because you can say something to me now and my friend in the studio will hear it better than me because they have decided to do something with their life. So what you said just resonates with him and is running with it. But you know what? I can hear it, but I'm not making a decision in that light. So the moment my first $1 million landed in November precisely that year, guess what happened? Everything, more than the money, my life changed. Because I suddenly realized that what happened when you make big money is not the money. Is that your view of the universe will expand.
Would expand.
And the moment it expands, everything changed. Even though when you lose that money, you can still be a better person, because you suddenly realize that there is now more possibilities for you
to have.
You know,
more
you're not more living in a small world. Your option, I call it MOU. So you're not living in a multiple option universe, because now you have options. You can now say, come on, man, I can do bigger things, man. I can do bigger things. And that was the beginning of my building. That was the beginning of my, you see, that partner that I told you about that called me about 1 year after, we parted ways. And that was how funny it was. But his assignment in my life was to introduce me to a new dimension that needed to take me to where I'm going.
Yep. Wait, hold on. Okay.
I love
You have
this.
said a lot of things.
Yeah.
And the story you just shared about your partnership with that person just reminds me of the book I read, The Alchemist.
Oh.
And he said something in that book, the writer said something in that book, said, when you make up your mind to do something, the universe conspires to help you.
Correct.
So I can see how you made up your mind to make big money from then. And then just walking into a bookstore, everything just began to align. You got your first client. And that's because you were willing, you did something free. You showed off your talent. I would like to call it talent.
Yeah.
Because at the time, you didn't even know you had great marketing skills.
Yeah.
You showed off your talent to someone who did not know that needed it. And then that's how it just happened. Correct. Everything just began to align.
You're correct. You're
so,
correct.
Talking about, someone coming into your life and making an assignment in your life, that was your introduction to real estate.
Yes, that was my introduction to real estate. I've never done real estate before in my life. I've only heard, I'm fascinated by it. I've read a couple of books on it, but I didn't even know what else to do to go about it. But this guy, and I will forever be grateful to him, because I tell people, don't focus on what you have lost. Focus on what you have left. And many a time, we often focus on what we have lost. There are times we will lose friendship because of differentials in values.
Yeah.
But there are times this friendship came into your life at a time because there's something you need to learn. And so for me, the reason why I'm a free soul and I either living or dead, I'm not in bitterness with any man, okay? Is to let you know that every time someone comes into my life, even when they have done things that are not proper in my life, I pick the lessons, mostly the positive lessons. Because you see, don't write people's, undoings on the marble. Write their kindness on marbles and write their undoings on the dust. So let it fade away. That's just the philosophical side of my life. All right. So the point is,
yes, you have that side of you.
Okay. So the point is, I just leave that, aspect, and then we'll move on, and then the next year, after we parted ways, I'm in partnership because when we're in the partnership, we're formally 3. And so the other guy said he wanted to go on his own. He would like, because he has a bigger stake in the first business. Okay. So he said he would just like, you have seen big money, And then he felt like, oh my God, let me just stay on my own. And I was a little bit pained, because I felt, oh, this is the beginning of my expression. I wanted to do big things, and I'm grateful for my other partner. And he said to me, Tade, if you can do this, we can do the rest. Yeah. And that's what happens.
Yeah. So it's really amazing how your story has opened me up to a different possibility, that this is where you started and this is where you are right now. Oh, that's so beautiful. That's so great. So let's just talk about when did WIP Africa start? Okay,
WIP Africa started 12 years ago. It's going to be 12 in this October 5th. We're going to be 12.
Okay.
So that's when we started.
All right, so we'll go on a short break right now. By the time we come back, we'll go straight deep into much details about how WIP Africa started.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you so much. So right now, we'll go on a short break, and by the time we come back, we'll get to hear more from Mr. Tade Cash.
Powerful voices.
Powerful voices.
Powerful voices.
Powerful voices.
Unforgettable messages. Experience the magic.
All here at Sabirata Studios.
Only here. Just the way you like it.
Just the way you like it. All here. Savvy Writer Studios.
And welcome back. It's been such an amazing time with the co-founder of Wealth Island Properties Africa, Mr. Tade Cash. And he has been taking us through his life journey and through his entrepreneurial journey. Thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful words of wisdom. I could always have you in quotes, quote and unquote. All the things that you have shared right now have really inspired me. I'm already smiling and I'm already thinking about the things I should do right now. possibilities I can, work into because of your story. Thank you
Awesome.
so much for that. So,
You're welcome.
so walk us through when the WIP Africa came into existence. How was it? Because I know you have a co-founder.
Yeah.
At what point did you meet your co-founder, and how did you guys just begin to start this wonderful company?
All right, so thank you. We started. We were the story I told you about the first business. We met at the first business where I parted ways. So
Yeah.
both of us parted ways with the first business at that time, and so we decided to start this new journey together. And one thing that I picked from that, started that business again, is about life is about system and skill set. And a lot of people do not develop skill set, and they think that business is a very strange thing. But I tell people that for me, I learned that hard way in business, that there is no money in anything. The money is only in marketing. All right. So when we started, I decided that our business, the focus of our business is going to be marketing. Now, to be candid with you, because this is a builder story. Along the line, I lost focus of the identity of the business, which is we are in a marketing business in doing real estate. All right. But because at the time you get soaked into the fact that, I'm a real estate business. And that cost us a lot, because you begin to focus on the minor when you should be focused on the
majors.
So for me, that was it. So we started, when we parted ways, all that we had at that time was a skill set that we have developed and some money that we have. And then we moved back into the market, begin to do our marketing. I remember of a blessed memory, Dan Foster, I would be on the show with him in Cool FM, just telling our story and all of that. And that was leading us to a lot of transactions. And I started raising people, because I realized that wealthy people don't sell their time, wealthy people sell time. All right. And that means that if I want to sell time and don't sell my time, I have to raise other people. Because you see, you can't be wealthy. And this is a builder story, and people are going to learn from this. You can't be wealthy not doing two things. Number one, you can't be wealthy not having people work for you, and you can't be wealthy not making money work for you. If you want to be wealthy, those two things won't happen. So what we did at the beginning is start raising people. So in the course of 1 year, because I'm very good at sales, and I begin to turn my selling into a system, because system is a principle of order that render confusion impossible. So the moment you can have a system, confusion will be out of there. And no one succeed with a confusion. So I started raising guys. I hire guys that are just coming out of school. They have never sold anything before. They just come in. Some don't even have a BSc. They just come in, but they have hunger. I started raising them. I started training them on sales. I started telling them, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to face rejection. And that totally changed the narrative of the business. Because you see, one does not multiply, and the worst number in business is one. So if you want to create multiplication, you need to have more than one people producing your organization. Because if one is producing, you are just one injury away from being broke. That means the day you can do it, everything goes down. So we raised a man at that time. Within the space of 6 months, we raised about 12 guys in our sales, and then we begin to raise people and all of that. So just like today now, we've been able to raise more than 1,000, 2,000 people in our sales team, now working them around the whole process, because I realized that what you lack in ability, you can match it up in leverage. So if you want to be wealthy, you need to build leverage, because leverage takes you out of slow life. Because most people, they are talented, they are working hard, but they are not working higher. Because for you to work higher, you have to put other people in your system and make things happen. So we started the business, we moved to a smaller office at that time, right, somewhere in Ikeja, where they call Computer Village Access, so that's where we started from. And then we were there for first 3 to 4 years. We're building the business. We lost some money because of lack of discretion. I think our first 2 years, we lost about 200 million in the business, and that was also another aha moment for me, because at that moment, it was so tough for me. And I felt like, what's going on? So one day I was just shut out of everything. My partner and I, everybody was in the office for days. And then one day I heard a voice. He said to me, Tade, congratulations to you. The money you have lost, you are beyond. All right, you are always bigger. And I heard a voice say to me, "You are bigger than the money you lose if you can stand it." Okay, and that moment, I rose from that moment, and it was a changing moment for me because I felt like someone cannot boast at that time. I'm talking about 7-8 years ago. Someone cannot boast at that time and come to me and say, "Tade, I just made 200 million." I'll tell you, guy, I just lost 200 million. It's a two different narrative.
Two different narratives.
It's a two different narrative. You just made it, I just lost it. So the point is, guy, and I'm still standing. I don't know about you yet. If you lost the 200 million you have, whether you will leave. And so by the time I recovered from that experience, and I was telling my team, my engineers, some of them were shaking because they felt like, how do you stand that? But I realized that internal strength, you cannot travel within and stand still without. So if you want to really travel without, you must travel within. And most people, they are so eager to travel without that they are standing still within. And so when challenges occur,
they won't be able to stand it.
Because it's not about the market, it's about your action. So the action that you're willing to take determine whether the market will serve you or you'll be a slave to the market. So that's how we started doing it. And today, by God's grace, we are in 5 countries. We're in 5 countries now. We're in Cote d'Ivoire, we're in Ghana, we're in Lesotho, we're in Botswana, we are in South Africa. So we're in 2 provinces in South Africa, and we're doing so well. We're building houses. In Nigeria, we're in about 4 states, if I'm correct. Okay, so that's just the way we have been. This month, next month, October, we're going to make it 12 years that we started WIP Africa.
Amazing.
And it's been a journey. Our goal is to be in all about 13 African countries in this decade, and to help a lot of people to live a freedom lifestyle. Because really, our company is not about selling lands. We're about using real estate to help people create freedom lifestyle. We call it deep. We call it deep. That means damn it position. A position where you get to where you have no financial worries. And then you can wake up on Tuesday morning and be in Sabi studio and just say, "God, let's do the interview, man." Right? That's how I can come on time, man.
Oh, yes, you do.
So I can come on time. Because I just feel like, God, let's go and do it. Because I believe that problems are magnified for lack of money. Most people don't have spiritual problem. They have financial problem. But because they have not solved it, they now begin to treat it as if it's spiritual. Most people problem in Nigeria.
It's not spiritual.
It's not
it's not spiritual, it's money. It's money problems.
So when you have not solved it, that's why you now feel like. So when they now solve the problem, that's why a guy that does not have spirituality in him, and he thinks that his money is not having money spiritual. The moment he has money, you see that he loses spirituality because he feel like, what's all these people doing?
What's the use of faith?
What's the use of faith? Because he does not know the essence of faith. So for me, that is my drive because of how I grew up. So the story that we tell in WIP Africa today is a story of freedom lifestyle. Okay, we want people to have freedom lifestyle because this is what I believe, and I may be wrong in some places, but I tell people that purpose cannot be fulfilled if financial freedom is not secured. Because many a time you can find your purpose easily when you don't have financial worries. Because most people's purpose is not about making money. Most people's purpose about exciting other souls to be able to find their place. But this is what happened. If you are hungry, you cannot be straight. So as a result of that, let's sort this one first. If you have sought this one, you can go anywhere and find your purpose. You can say, "Guy, I'm on the research right now. I need to find something." Guy, it's fine. You are not hungry. But you see, and that's why a lot of people, self-actualization cannot be found if there's some basic needs of life has not been sorted. So for me, that has become my magnificent obsession with my entire team, and that's what we are driving at. That's what we are helping other people to see. So we have different blueprints in the organization: freedom lifestyle blueprints, freedom lifestyle numbers. We just help people to find these numbers, and we've been helping a lot of young professionals to be able to get to freedom. I believe that in my organization, we even tell people, set up what we call freedom lifestyle dates. It means that the date that you are going to be free. That means financially. And that day, when you get to that date, you become your new birthday, and then you begin to celebrate. Because in our organization, we also have what we call birthday lifestyle. So that means the moment you get to freedom, you have a birthday lifestyle. You can live your life at your own pace, for your own style, at your own reason. Beautiful. So that is a drive of WIP Africa. That's our story. That's like the Sabi Studio stories and all of that. It's our story to let people know that freedom is the calling. And as long as you get to freedom on time, you'll find that in your lifetime, you will achieve more.
Yeah. WIP Africa has come a long way.
Thank you.
By October, you're going to be 12 years.
Yes.
And 12 years in existence. And you have been able to spread the mark across the country, across the continent Africa.
Yeah.
And one would ask, what is the cheat code? I remember behind the scenes, right? Behind the scenes, we were talking about cheat code and hack.
Yeah.
Someone would ask, what is the hack? How did you come about? What did you do that made you have this kind of exposure, this kind of influence across Africa continent? Can you talk to our viewers out there? Because I do know that there are entrepreneurs out there who have been in a particular business for a long time and they're not really seeing profit. They're not really seeing the finances coming in. And one would say that it's because of the sector you're in. Sector you're in is like all money. Real estate.
Not really. There is no money in anything. The money is in marketing.
So I really want you to talk. I want you to speak to our viewers who feel that way. That maybe it's kind of sector you are in. That's why you're having that kind of influence. So I want you to break that kind of mindset.
Okay, that's fine. And the mindset still remains that you cannot. You have to take personal responsibility for your actions. You cannot take responsibility for the market, but you can take responsibility for your action. For instance, some people have an habit, it's called small money habit. Right? They're so used to small money, even in business. They're so used to small money. And what happened to small money is that it helps you to get by. It does not make you to get ahead. That's one. Another cheat code in system that I've developed over the years is that I say one thing to myself again and again. You cannot protect what you have not expanded. So the only way you protect what you have is to expand it. And so many people are putting themselves in a very dangerous zone because they are keeping what they have instead of expanding it. So what we do is to also look at it. It's not about the how for me, it's about the who. So I'm always looking for who can I work with. In every country that we have found ourselves, in every state that we have operated in, we are operating with who. Who can I work with? Who can I... You can do this better than I, So who should be in the studio having an interview with great entrepreneurs on this continent should be you, not me. But this is what happened. Most people, because how make us to procrastinate, who give us acceleration. So that means the moment you can look for who can do this, that have the right spirit, that have the right intention, that can work with you, the right values, guess what happens? You will gain speed. Because you see, speed is important to wealth. And so most people, anybody can become wealthy. This is what I say jokingly. I said, what about somebody makes his first million at the age of 65? Tade make his first million before he was 28. Who is richer? Who is richer?
Tade.
Why?
He made it early enough.
Thank you. Because you see, the wealthy people that I've lived with for almost 20 years of my life now, people that I wrote in my book, The Money Code, My Billionaire Mentor, he said one thing to me. He said that the two things money must do for you. Number one, money must help you to buy time. And number two, money must help you to buy financial freedom. He said, so when you look at wealthy people, why do wealthy people buy jets? It's not, that's why they don't call it luxury. They call it toy. Because it's about buying time. They're simply buying time. They want to buy time because the truth of the matter is, anybody can succeed if you're going to live forever. Nobody will be a failure if you're going to live forever. If we don't die, nobody will be a failure. Because along the line, you'll find the cheat code and you can start succeeding. But because we're not going to be on this side of the world forever, in other words, you need to understand that the most important asset you own is time. So knowing how to buy time, why do I have different domestic staff in my house? Why do I, for almost 15 years, I can't say I've ever washed one cloth in my life. Why do I do all of those things and all of that? Why don't I drive myself? Why don't I do all of those things? One thing, I'm buying time. I respect those people that are willing to sell their time to me because the more time that I have, the more money I can make within a short period of time. So every single time, one of the things we are doing in terms of expanding is to buy time. I want to buy time. And every entrepreneur must understand time mastery, because if you don't buy time, you can't create a lifetime success. Because you don't have all the luxury of the time on your own to be able to do all the things that you want to do. That's why when you come to a place like this and you see a lot of young people doing stuff, because it's an entrepreneur that have understanding must know that you have to delegate. You have to be able to, delegation is a multiplier's effect. Because if you don't do that, you can't multiply what you have. And so those are the things that we start learning, putting the right people. You're going to face obstacles. There are people that will come into your means that will be like the Judas in your 12 disciples. But never mind. 1 in 12 is still a good ratio. Just keep moving on. You know what? Because people don't treat you the way you are. People treat you the way they are.
Yeah.
So people treat you the way they are. don't ever take it personal when people treat you badly. That's not you. That's who they are. So most people take it personal when someone treats them badly. But when you realize that nobody can treat you badly, that is not bad to himself. So what that means is that you treat people the way you are, not the way they are. So even when someone seems to be cruel to you and you are still willing, one guy one time, he was talking bad about me because I bought one property in the eyebrow of mainland, and at a time it was having a serious issue and I was the only one that can rescue him. Guess what happened? I rescued him. And it was when after I rescued him and I told the person what the guy did, the man was shocked to his bone because he felt this person should not do this kind of thing to you, and he still rescue him. And I told him what I just said to you. I don't treat people the way they are. I treat them the way I am. So I'm kind to him because of who I am, not because of him. I knew that if I don't do that to him, many generations, people that have trusted him with resources, they are going to suffer. And I knew the solution. Now, it's not about him now that my conscience is going to be pricking me. It's about them because there are many people that will have been rescued. I knew the answer. So why didn't I help him? But you see, it's about you. It's not about them. So you have to begin to raise people because in hiring, I see it as an investment decision. And so you have to hire people. Hiring is an investment decision. An investment decision have 2 ROI. It means return on investment and return of investment. So if you can get your return of investment first before the return on investment, you should be fine. And then you work on your ROR, which is your rate of result. Make sure that the people you're putting around you can produce result, because in business, it's result that cancels insult. So if you can't get result, you will be insulted in no time. People will start coming around you and start saying, don't mind this guy, he does this and that. So it was a summary of my cheat code to say that systems are important. You cannot expand without a system. You can be everywhere without being everywhere. It's called hybrid omnipresence. And what give you an hybrid omnipresence is system, delegations, buying of time, sell time, don't sell your time. That's my summary of
I
what
can
it's
listen to Mr. Cash all day.
Oh my God. You see now, you see people, she can listen to me all day. That's a good review for me.
He always has the right words to the right question. That's really amazing.
Thank you.
That's great. I want to be like you when I grow up.
Oh, I hear you.
So talking about, in getting people, recruiting people, you have recruited a lot of people over the years and you have invested in them. How do you identify talents?
Yeah, I identify talent by first, I do what I have learned from, I won't take ownership of that idea, but one of the things that I've learned to do is to test people. Test our spirit, hold on to our spirit, test our spirit, and hold on to the one that is good. So what do? I don't hire people until I test them. So most people want to get people on board. For instance, these days, if I hire you, the first thing I will do is to give you a book to read and ask you to come back next week and let us have a meeting. Now, when you come back next week and you show up in my office and you have not read the book, I'm not going to talk to you. I can't hire you. Number one, it means that you're not teachable. I've just given you a book, your first assignment, you have failed. Now, you see, because you have failed your first assignment, read the book, get back to me next week. And then you are showing back to me next week and I say, have you read the book? Say, oh, I'm sorry. So many things. That's how this guy, people don't change quickly like that. And many a time, and that's what happens. So I try to test people. Most importantly, I want to test people's spirit before their skill. Because you see, I learned something from Warren Buffett. He said, if you want to hire people, always follow this ladder. And I've been following that for a couple of years now. I look at the people's energy, I look at the people's intelligence, and I look at the people's competence. So one thing that I want to do is that I would never hire you if you have energy, but you don't. If you have intelligence, you have energy, but you don't have the right spirit, I will not hire you because you can kill me. Because the person, he knows the job. He has energy, but he has a bad spirit. He does not. It does not care if things get destroyed. He's just thinking of how to take advantage of people. So what do? I test people a lot. I've learned to develop different tests. For instance, I've learned to develop what I call good man test. I've learned to develop all manner of tests. And unknown to a lot of people that come to my life, I carry out those tests on them. And people fail the test a couple of times. Some people pass the test. There are people that pass a particular test and they don't even have, because it's key. If someone is teachable, it is easy to acquire a particular skill. Well, it is difficult for someone that is not teachable to acquire a skill. It's not teachable. So you are just going to be spending your money on people that are not ready to learn. And they will start giving you excuses. I've hired people in sales team. I've even made people out of sales before that were just full of excuses, And at the end of the day, they have to go because the environment is not conducive for them. And some of them will still go out there and still say funny, bad things about you. But this is what I said. My philosophy stands the same. People don't treat you the way you are. They treat you the way they are. So for me, it's about looking out. I follow Jesus' rule when it comes to hiring people. I'm always looking for who to hire. I'm always going, always recruiting, always talking to people from a store to the plane to everywhere. I've hired some people just seeing them in an event. Just say, man, I like the way the person is behaving. I said, come on, can we talk tomorrow? Can we just have?
But there'll be an excuse for you because you said in one of the conversations we had that you have been able to groom your spiritual frequency.
Yeah,
is heightened.
Yeah,
I can understand for you because you can. I think knowing when someone has the right spirit to take a certain level of discernment.
Yeah,
not all people are like that.
Discernment is systemic.
Okay.
Discernment is systemic, and so what you need to do is that the reason why there is correction in dictionary is because mistakes is allowed. So what happens is that just make sure that you make a mistake that cannot take away your life. So what happens is that how do you develop discernment? Even in dealing with humans, you develop discernment by making decisions on humans. So you begin to make some decisions, you begin to check things out, and there are some pinpoint, there are some checklists you need to have when it comes to dealing with people, because the best way to work with human beings is with system. When you work with people with system, you will realize that people are more of a liability to you if you're just working with them with instinct, not with system. Because you're just going to be getting into all manner of problems every single time. But when you have a system of working with people, for instance, in our organization, there are some things you don't say. In our organization, there are some behaviors you don't carry out. In our organizations, there are ways you treat human beings. There are things you don't say to human beings. So when you come in and you begin to talk somehow, you already know that you can't stay here. We can't even hire you because number one, in our organization, it's a taboo for you to be lazy. You can't afford to be lazy, and that for me, it's key. It's very, very practical as long as all of these things are put together. So for me, I check out this thing. When it comes to discernment, look out. Begin to learn to pay attention. How do you develop discernment? Don't get excited with anything until that thing is done. So when you see someone, you think, oh, I would like to hire this person. I'm like, don't get excited with that idea, because that excitement douse your discernment. But the moment you just be neutral, all right? Be neutral about it. Well, I'm just checking out this person. You're like an investigator. You're still looking out. You know what you want. You know what you are looking for. You know the role you want this person to play. So what do? Check it out and begin to put all of those things in place. And guess what happens? You are going to get that. You're going to get that done, and it's going to help you to do your stuff. And then you develop it. I won't say I'm 100%. I've made a couple of mistakes, but I hired one guy one time. I sent him to a training in South Africa for building trainings, and he came back 2 weeks after I spent a lot of money on him. 2 weeks after he came back, he ran away. I've not seen him to date. I look everywhere. I send letters to his parents. I can't find the guy, but the guy is alive. The point is, I thought I made the right decision, but it will happen. So, like I said, 1 in 12 disciples. You have to understand that. But as you get better with people, you get better in succeeding, because there is no success without people. So you cannot run an automated company that is not run by a system driven by people. That's very important.
So you have spent 12 years building a company, and I'm very sure that you have learned lessons along the way.
A lot.
You mentioned having to lose 200 million in a transaction while you were building up. I know that it really cost you a lot.
Yes, it did.
But how were you able to get yourself up? And I'm sure that you had other challenges apart from
that.
A lot. How were you able to pick yourself up after that and other challenges? And what are the life lessons that you have learned along building this company?
I'm a peaceful warrior. And what that means to me is that a peaceful warrior, life is not good or bad. Life is just a challenge. All right. So every single day, I never treat anything as good or bad. I treat life as a challenge. It's not a predicament to me. And that's why many a time, a couple of guys I call them my inner circle that work in my organization. Before they got to know me very well, they are often concerned because something can be happening and that they believe that I should be disturbed. And they notice that I'm at peace. All right. Because the truth is, the most important asset in my life is my peace of mind. I will not allow anything to take it. Nothing, so the first thing that I have learned over the years is that life is not straight. It's a circle. All right. So you can plan it all out and it may not work out the way you plan it. And so what happened is that I've created a room for pleasant interruption. All right. So I make my plans, but I know it can be disrupted. And so that keeps me at peace, So because at the time in my life, I was having serious problem because I love perfection. So the moment something is not going my way, I'm shaking. Like, guy, why this thing? But I realized that do you want to live long? You want to enjoy your success? You can't live long this way. I tell myself the truth a lot. Like, if you continue like this, you will soon die. You just be in one event, but they just be shaking like that, just fall. They just, what's wrong with this boss? Why did he die? No. So I calm down, even when I'm not getting what they're doing or what I'm doing at that moment, I calm down. So I realize that life is not good or bad. Life is a challenge, and the challenge is a gift. You see, when God trusts you with a challenge, it means that you are worthy of it. And so if you're worthy of it, He has also put in you the inherent power to be a winner in it. So what I do every single time is that when a challenge comes to me, even when I don't understand it in business, what I do is, so when I lost the money, like I said, it was tough for me. It was, to tell you that I was laughing around the house, I'll be lying to you. It was tough for me. I beat myself a couple of times, like, Tade, what is this? You're supposed to be smarter than this. And what really happened? I bought a particular asset and I overtrust someone, an elderly woman, believing that this woman would have remitted the money to the owner of the original property, unknown. The woman has not remitted. I've taken possession of the property. I was using the property with the C of O land and all of that. But eventually, the man came back to the land and put a signboard on it. He happened to be a senior lawyer, elderly man, and then I have to pay the money all over again. And that's one of the lessons I learned in that, again, that never settle for small money, because you don't know when you will need the big money. So so many a time, a lot of people get into trouble in life, not because they are bad people, but because they settle for small money. And so when a disruption happens in their life, they don't have a reservoir of some money to be able to resolve the matter and make it an announcement to the world. So people start looking at them, no, look at what he said he's going to do. He has not done it. Why? That is what I call a sin of small money. Because a sin of small money in business, it makes you to lose your target. You will miss target because you are not going for big enough. So what is big enough in business? There's nothing big enough. Just keep going for it. Be grateful, but don't be satisfied. Be grateful. Everything you have, be grateful for it, but never be satisfied. It is an emotional cancer to be satisfied in business. It hits you up gradually. But be grateful. If you want this and you have this, be grateful all the time. I'm in my car, my guy will just see me. I'm always saying, thank you, Lord. I'm always grateful. I'm always grateful for where I am. Because when I look at where I'm coming from and where I am today, I'm a winner all the time, So I won't allow my ambition to make me grievous, So what I'm always doing is thinking, I'm grateful, but I want more. Because my wanting more is about generations, not just me. Because I want to be able to create more there are some people in the next 2 generations that should not start from the scratch because I ever leave.
Yes.
And the reason why they will not start from the scratch because I ever leave is because of my ambition. And so I will never settle for a small ambition. So that is the journey for me. And it's why I keep learning this lesson. Many lessons with people, many lessons with disappointment, many lessons with people that you have trusted and they will go behind the doors and just backslide you and backstab you and all of that. But I've learned that that's one of the things. That's why we are not aliens. That's why we are humans.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
But guess what? Your biggest asset is your response. Respond well. Go for it. Be grateful all your life. I have an attitude I live by. Be grateful for no reason. Even when you don't have a reason not to be grateful. Just be grateful for no reason. Be grateful. Just, and I do that a lot. I'm always grateful. And I think as an entrepreneur, you can get to a point in your life because of your ambition that you will lose your sense of gratitude. Because you are so ambitious that you begin to live your life by gap, not by gain. And the difference between gap and gain, you have to look at what you have gotten. You have to look at where you are coming from, what you have gained. So that is what keeps you grateful.
Yeah.
But when you are looking at the gap, you can be ungrateful. You just feel, no, what am I going to be grateful for? By now we're supposed to be doing $5 billion.
Yeah.
We're still doing $200 million every year. I'm not, no, guys, let's go for more. Guys, gratitude is a rhythm of the planet. It makes things work for you even when you least expect it.
I call it currency.
Exactly. It's
Currency to get more.
Exactly. You have to be grateful because the word gratitude means gracious. It means grace. So it activates grace for more in your life. So when you maintain an attitude of gratitude, grace will always be with you. And when grace is with you, disgrace is far from you. That's it.
When grace is with you, disgrace is far from you. We should create like a merch, like a shirt line, where we print some of your quotes on it and sell it and make some money. Right.
All right. So that's the way it is for me.
This has been such a very mind-blowing session. I've learned a lot. So we are gradually getting to the end of this. I wish it didn't have to end because
but it has to end.
But it has to, right? It has to. So any future projections of the company, WIP, what is in the next 5 years, where do you see it happening? I know you said you want to extend extend WIP across continents of Africa, across the world. But next 5 years, what are the projections that you see for WIP?
So one of the things that we have done on the continent, in Nigeria in particular, they call me the man that turned water to wine, and one of the things I've done is I've done about more than 5 sites in Lagos today that I've turned the water land to a complete dry land, and because I realized that the more people live closer to the city, the more prosperous everyone will be, and so in the next 5 years, one of the things that should be expected from WIP Africa is that WIP Africa is going into building more of high-rise buildings, especially on the mainland. I love mainland a lot, and though we have restrictions on the mainland as far as high-rise is concerned because of the proximity to the airport, and so there are some heights you can go. But we're working on a project right now that will soon announce to the world, so that is there. And at the same time, the next projection is I really want a lot of people on the continent to be free, because the reason why we are not inventing in Africa is because the necessity of daily living is still on us, and in my newest book called The Cash Flow for Life, Cash Flow for Life, I'm working on the prayer of Jesus that is, give us this day our daily bread. And that word, if you understand what it means, your life will change instantly. And what does it mean? It means that give us today what will be sufficient and sustainable for the rest of my life. In Greek, that's what it means. All right. It means that Jesus was the first man that showed people how to pray for cash flow for life. He's saying, guys, don't just pray for today's bread, pray for daily bread, because we often mix today's bread for daily bread. It's not the same thing. Don't give me today. Don't give me today's bread. Use today to give me a forever bread. It means that help me to create an asset today. Now, this recording done today is an asset because someone 10 years down the line is going to listen to this program and his business life is going to change. So you have spent about 2 hours with all the day of planning today to be able to create an asset that will last forever. Guess what? You have just fulfilled the prayer of Jesus that said, give me today what will last me for the rest of my life. And that's the prayer every entrepreneur must pray, because this is what happened. Most entrepreneurs hustle rather than building, because hustling means you are selling your time for money, but building means you are building today what will give you money for your lifetime. So we are in a builder's show, not an hustler show. That means that what we are telling you today to do is to build something that will begin to mint money for you. And another thing is that you must learn how to make your money produce babies. You see, there's what I call grandfather's money. It means that there's what I call ancestors' money. You see, the next generation must enjoy ancestors' money from you. It means that, the grandson of Rockefeller just died about a few months ago. He died as the oldest billionaire in the world. That's the great grandson of Rockefeller. That guy enjoy ancestors' money. All right. So
You did.
it's an ancestor's money. Someone created the money, grandfather's money. So most people have that opportunity with business. Entrepreneurs have opportunity to create wealth. The Fords of this world, the JP Morgans of this world, all of these guys have created ancestors' money. The IBMs of this world, these guys have created ancestors' money, and that is the position we are in as an entrepreneur, to be able to create this kind of life for people as well. So what is my obsession? The next 5 years, to be able to create more of these structures around the continent, me and my team, my partners, and all of that, to be able to help more people to be free. Freedom lifestyle is our magnificent obsession. And we want to make sure that before we drop dead and very old age, we want to pass this mindset to the next generation, so that the more Africa become free, the more Africa will become creative. Because there is a level of comfort that creativity required. And if you don't have it, you can't give it. So that is the obsession. And that's what we're working on.
Beautiful. So we have come to the end of today's session. But before we go, I'd like you to give the last word to entrepreneurs. In this conversation, you have said a lot of things. And one of the articles I read about you, you said something. You said that your economic status is dynamic, it's not static.
Yeah.
And one of the things you've also said, last one you just said, was that be grateful, but don't be satisfied.
Yeah.
You've also mentioned hunger, because in your journey, in your life's journey, all I've seen is hunger for more.
Yeah.
You've always wanted more. So give us a last words before we end today's session. Is hunger enough?
Yes, hunger is the beginning of it, because you need to be hungry. If you're not hungry, you cannot feast without hunger. So anything that is provided is wasted when hunger is not there. But beside hunger, one of the things that you must learn what I call fatherly advice. And in the generation that people think fatherly advice is just about someone being an old man. No, a father is someone that has gone ahead of you to do what you would like to do. And so learn to pay to play, and most people, entrepreneurs, just think that there are some knowledge, there are some advice that you can't Google. Someone must be willing to give you because whatever you find on Google is what someone puts there. So if it's not there, it's not there, but it's in someone, and you must be able to know who is that father that you need to meet with. Now, this father it's metaphorical. It could be younger than you, far younger than you, but he has gone farther than you. I'm reading a book right now from a guy in America, and the guy is 32, I guess, or 33. I'm 41. This August 10, and the point is, let's say approximately I'm 7 years older than the guy. But you know what? The guy is like a father to me in an aspect of business that I need to master. And today, I got the material a few days ago, and I'm digesting it, a couple of his materials, because there's something I saw in him, and I felt like, oh my God, I need our business to get to this level. So I learned to pay to play. So as an entrepreneur, you must do that. And lastly, thing I want to say to entrepreneurs, that there's a difference between labels and competitors. Love your neighbors, avoid your competitors. You're not in business to compete. You're in business to love your neighbors, but you're in business to have a monopolist advantage. And what that means to me is that a monopoly advantage is that beside you, there is no other. You must be in a category of one. So when people come to you, there must be you. Beside me, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No man come unto the Father except through me. It means that it's a category of one. But you have neighbor. Who is a neighbor? Neighbor are people in the same industry with you. But because someone is in the same industry with you, does not mean they're in the same business with you. Now, don't mix it up in business, because the moment you mix it up as a builder, you can be changing yourself, because some people will come as if they need mentoring from you, but they don't necessarily want to be mentored. They just want to get your cheat code because they are in the same business with you. But help people that are in the same industry with you, but not necessarily people that are in the same business with you, because the same business means your focus. And therefore, the moment you are able to separate that, you have a lot of friends and you won't have any enemy. There, some people will be your enemy. They will just naturally say, oh, I don't like that guy. But you don't have any enemy. You have a lot of friends. So help your neighbors. Love your neighbors. Don't speak evil of them. That means people. Because the bigger your industry is, the bigger opportunities there is for everybody. All right? So for me, as an entrepreneur, also know this lastly, that you are a modern day savior. Entrepreneurs, business builders are modern day savior. We are saving the economy. We're saving the lives of people. Government cannot provide the job. We can. So we are building things that when we have gone on this earth, many lives, many families are still going to be fed because you once started a business. So don't take it for granted. You have been sent to this world to change this world. So take hold on to it. Every day, raise your shoulder and know that you're a modern day savior and you're a modern day cash flow magician. That means you're changing lives, and because you're changing lives, your life is changed. I will see you again. Peace, love, and cash flow.
Thank you so much. Oh dear. Thank you so much for that. I must
Thank you.
applaud you for all that you're doing.
Thank you.
I see that you're a man who has so much knowledge and you want to share it. I see what you're doing on your social media platforms.
Awesome.
You don't hold back.
Thank you.
You give it
Thank
off.
you.
Thank you so much for being a source of inspiration to us
Thank
right
you
here
for having
in the
me
Builder
today.
Story. It's been such
Thank
an
you.
honor. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much. And right now we have come to the end of today's episode on the Builder Story. It's been 3 words. It's been mind-blowing, it's been rewarding, it's been inspiring. A special thanks to Mr. Tade Cash, co-founder of Wealth Island Properties Africa. It's been such a rewarding experience right now. And thank you so much for staying with us to the end. It's the Builder Story podcast. Stay with us for the next episode.